The Boston Celtics swept the Indiana Pacers and the Dallas Mavericks beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, setting up your 2024 NBA Finals. But today we'll be recapping everything that happened in the NBA Conference Finals and what the future holds for the Timberwolves and the Pacers.
The NBA Finals are officially set. Both series have concluded. Bittersweet because both of them ended pretty quick. You know, they didn't live up as to the hype as the NHL ones maybe. But let's just get right into it. We're a little late because someone got sick once again.
I really need to check my immune system. I really do. I do get checked out.
But let's get right into it. Boston Celtics officially beat the Indiana Pacers to go to the finals, second time in 3 years. The Dallas Mavericks, first finals since they won the championship with Dirk in 2011. First of Luka, fourth of Kyrie Irving, I guess. One of them he was injured in. But let's get right into it. Let's recap the Western Conference. 4-1 was the ultimate thing. Not surprised Minnesota ended up stealing one at home at Dallas. But then it wasn't like many people thought that could have been the potential 3-0 comeback because they're kind of like leveled compared to the other side at least. The reason why I didn't think that was because Kyrie Irving and Luka did not have great games in Game 4, and then Luka just came out and just put a stamp on things.
They both did.
But Luka to start off with 3 points
in the first quarter, Kyrie in the second quarter, and then overall their whole team just destroyed. And I think the benches were on for like the last 9 minutes of the fourth quarter almost. But yeah, absolute domination in Game 5 for the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, the two best players in this series, and they needed to be because that's how they win games, and they're definitely going to need to be in the finals. But talking about the series as a whole, I was like, one thing I guaranteed in this series was 7 games.
We almost got 4 only.
We legit basically had 5. We had 5 games, right? Should have had 4 because, like, to be fair, Luka and Kyrie were great in Game 4. But overall, when you think about it, if your best players show up, your team's going to win. And then when you have 2 closers, not 1, 2 closers, when like legit in Game 3, it was probably one of the best masterclass I've seen from these two guys.
Yeah.
Right? When they were paired together. Legit, Luka goes up to Kyrie at the end of the game saying that, yo, I'm exhausted. And Kyrie's like, it's supposed to be like that. But it's funny because when you had Luka hitting fadeaway shots, you know, keeping the lead at, I don't know what it was, like at least double possession. And then he gets tired. He's like, yo, Kyrie, take the ball.
Yeah.
Then he hits a fadeaway shot. And like Kyrie's like, all right, Luka, your turn. And just going back and forth and just keeping the Timberwolves at bay every single time, all in those clutch moments in the fourth quarter of Game 3. I'm just like, that was just an incredible watch.
Yeah, no, sticking with that before we go to the Timberwolves here, because if I'm the opposition defender, and I'm not saying NBA level, even if we're playing pickup ball or whatever, if I'm guarding Kyrie Irving, I'm like, all right, well, I can't do much because it's Kyrie Irving. If I'm guarding a guy like Luka Doncic, and I look at him and I'm like, you play all this good defense, and he's just hitting everything, I would be frustrated because Luka is an athletic. We know that. Like compared to Kyrie Irving, Kyrie Irving's shifty. We know he's probably, again, one of the greatest skilled basketball players of all time. With Luka, it's just like you did everything you could possibly can, and like him and Jokic, for example, and they do like that weird turnaround fade shot. It's just like you can't do anything about it. But at the same time, it's just frustrating because watching it as a fan, if you're a fan of the Timberwolves, you're like, we did everything right. But he still got it in. So you obviously got to tip your cap off to it, but I'm just saying as a opposition defender, it's probably annoying as hell to guard Luka Doncic that way.
Oh yeah, it's definitely frustrating. Because Jaden McDaniels is the primary defender, right?
Yeah.
I know, he played good defense.
I think Anthony Edwards came in the last 2 games.
Well, I know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, like, basketball is one of those sports where, like, if you're cooking, nobody's going to stop you, right? And I experienced that firsthand with LeBronto. I'm seeing this man hit fadeaway 3-pointers like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Over OG Anunoby when he got swept in 2018. Right? The same thing here. Like, you just can't do anything. Right? They're just hitting their shots. They're hitting contested shots. They're just clutch NBA players, Kyrie and Luka. They both are closers. They both are legit 1A and 1B. They both could handle the ball and calm things down when it needs to be. And then when it comes down to it, they're at their best. Doesn't matter how poorly they play in the first 3 quarters. These guys are going to show up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And credit goes out to both of those guys, right? I think they're the first. They've just, like I said, you said it perfectly. They just carried if one person gets tired, the other person could just carry. Vice versa. Kyrie, we've seen them be a little bit passive, but smart with it. Everybody's just waiting on Kyrie to win the championships. It could go off again in terms of in his offseason antics, but we'll see if that ever happens. But no, at the same time, Derek Lively was missed in Game 4. We saw why. Game 5, obviously he wasn't an impactful points-wise, but again, 8 rebounds in general, right? PJ Washington, when he needed to step up, stepped up. And then same thing with Daniel Gafford. Derek Jones, again, defensively did a pretty good job, I would say, on whoever he was defending, mainly Edwards, because of just because he is their wing defender and the athleticism matches accordingly. But we'll save the Dallas talk when we do our preview of the NBA Finals here. But overall, Dallas.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Derek Lively did not miss a field goal in the series.
No, okay.
He was 16 for 16.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
The other thing is, we got at least one of our underdog teams in the final.
Yeah, the Mavericks.
In a way. Maybe some people might say that's not surprising at all. They were probably the easy underdog pick. Because it was just because of their matchup against the Clippers.
You got the Clippers, then you got Thunder, and then you got the Timberwolves. Realistically, it was supposed to be
the flip way.
The Clippers, the Thunder, then the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Realistically, that should be the path.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it wasn't just us who said it. Many people have said it, but we agree. Again, I thought you and I both thought it too. This is gonna be one of the more dangerous teams coming in hot, getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, that was the big.
You have a guy who's been there and done that in Kyrie Irving. You have a guy who's consistently been first of all first team All NBA every year except his rookie year, and Luka Doncic. So we know it was gonna be a matter of time before he gets it. And then, they could be bringing a guy this is, I guess, why you do a Kyrie Irving trade. One, you hope that he wasn't going to be anything stupid. He isn't. So that helps a lot in the first place. But, and then you just add pieces around. That makes sense.
Yeah, and also usage, right? Luka was his usage rate last year was above 75%.
Yeah.
Which is, historically insane.
His usage.
When you get another ball.
Wait, what did you say?
It was last year. Not about this year.
This year was 36%.
His usage rate was there was a stretch in time where his usage rate was at least at 70%.
Certain games, yeah, probably. Him and James Harden were always up there.
Yeah, and what happens when Kyrie Irving comes in? Why do you think I love the trade so much, right?
It was there.
I'm bro, this is gonna work because you've got a guy where you get Luka off the ball.
People didn't like it only because they had Jalen Brunson already.
Yeah, but
in hindsight, we saw what Jalen Brunson did in New York, right? So he could have been the exact same role as.
All right. Then what's this? I know it's a tough question. If the Dallas Mavericks had Jalen Brunson instead of Kyrie Irving, would they have made the finals?
If it was the Jalen Brunson we had from New York,
they signed Jalen Brunson to that same contract New York did, and they're getting this Jalen Brunson.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
You think they would?
Yeah.
I think they wouldn't. Reason being, I don't think Brunson would have brought it defensively the way that Kyrie Irving brought it defensively.
So I say yes on the offensive side of things, and you're fine. Okay, yeah, fair argument, fair defense. Devil's advocate on myself here. The leadership aspect of being in the finals and the playoffs.
Yeah, Kyrie's experience. I'm not saying Kyrie's a better player, but I'm saying that Kyrie's experience. We got the end of Brunson dropped 40 points.
That's why I'm I feel like he wouldn't still log.
But when you look at the little things, I don't think Brunson's doing the little things, right? The leadership's obviously one factor, but the things defensive.
I feel like players will lock in when it comes down to the playoffs. He was getting beat up a lot in this year's playoffs because he had no secondary help, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Injuries happened there. With the trade, it's it wasn't work. Listen, last year when the trade first happened, they fell out of a playoff spot, not even just a play-in spot after the trade. Right, their record was better with just Kyrie than with
that was the
just Luka and their records were better off by themselves when they were playing together. This year, at the beginning of at least for most of the year, people are this duo ain't working because, like we said, you have two ISO heavy players that are gonna do their own thing.
It takes time.
So it does take time, which is why when the James Harden trade happened, I was it'll take time, and it did. It worked for a bit until it didn't. This one, I'm okay. I guess it helps. Because a lot of the factors was defense, so it helps when you made those moves in the offseason. In the season to get PJ Washington. You add, I don't know if Derek Jones was there last year.
Derek Jones was in free agency. Yep.
So him, right? You trade away a guy you thought would have helped in Grant Williams, but to get PJ Washington. So in that sense, it takes time. I guess egos put it to the side as well. That helps as well. I'm not saying they were like clashing heads or anything like that, but
They were fine.
everybody found their role and they played accordingly. And Jason Kidd figured that out, which is great. Derek Lively was the
That's the thing. They
addition.
figured it out. That was the thing.
Yeah. My question to you is this though. I asked you this off camera. I'm gonna ask you this on camera because it's a fair question. Do the OKC Thunder, will they regret trading down, which was ultimately they traded away Derek Lively for Case and Wallace and an additional asset? I forgot what that asset was.
No.
But in hindsight, it's like, okay, in hindsight, you could see it only because the rebounding is a slight issue.
Realistically, how much was Lively gonna play when Holmgren left?
No, they could play together is what I'm saying.
I don't think they could play together, but personally, I think the opportunity that Lively had with the Mavericks was more impactful. I don't think the Thunder were already set up like all around wise, right? Whereas Lively was that defensive.
But
leader
I guess the argument
for the
is
Mavericks.
Lively was a more of a need during the year than a Case and Wallace was. In that sense,
That's fair.
I'm not like I'm just saying. I only posed the question. I agree with you. There's no regret because Case and Wallace is still all. They both are all. They're all NBA rookie second team, right? All second team.
Here's the point I have is that how is Lively gonna impact? Like the Mavs,
I feel like
needed defense, and Lively became the defensive anchor, bro. Like point where when Lively was out, this team struggled defensively.
Speaking of which, Gafford was also added in the midseason, which helped Dallas as well. I forgot that. But no, like
when Lively was out, Dallas just struggled defensively.
Yeah, no,
he is their anchor.
He would help. He would have helped that team. He could have played with Chet. We know that. And even if Chet needed the minutes, that's where the question mark was when Chet was off. Right? It's not like Lively started these. Gafford started these most of the playoffs. So I feel like he would have helped in that rebounding department and play with Chet a little bit more and be the more physical guy, which they kind of lacked. Again, I'm being devil's advocate. I agree with you. Like Case and Wallace, like you have an option of you could trade away a guy like Lou Dort because you have Case and Wallace on your team, who's cheaper, who could probably do similar things as Lou Dort does in terms of, or whoever, Josh Giddey, if you want to get rid of him to get a bigger guy who could be a potentially available or a wing guy. But no, I just posed that question because it is Lively that knocked out the Thunder, and he was a big factor of. And honestly, he's a big reason why the Thunder were out too.
The Mavericks needed Lively more than the Thunder needed Lively.
Oh yeah,
no, for sure. That's what.
No, I don't regret it because the trade at the end of the day.
You got your center, right? You got Chet.
Yeah,
and really, who really plays double big man other than the Timberwolves?
No, again, Chet's like one of those guys that you could.
You can move. Yeah, you can move into a forward. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, like the way he's built, but realistically, small ball's the way in current NBA.
But fair question though. At the end of the day, like
it's a fair question, but I feel like there's a right answer to this question.
Yeah, there is a right answer, and I agree with your right answer.
Yeah,
and there's no regrets. But Thunder fans could wonder, but like, damn, maybe we need this year could have been the year.
Thunder fans, stop wondering. If you are wondering, don't wonder, because nothing like.
Listen, Thunder have a bright future, and there's nothing.
Yeah, you're fine. You're sad. Let's move on to the losers.
Yeah.
I say that respectfully because
they are the losers.
Yeah, they are the losers. But yeah, no, congrats to Timberwolves. Incredible season. Unfortunate coming up short. You could tell that one, experience was lacking in this playoffs. Two, the body just never ever been through this before in a deep playoff run. And number three, overall, it was just like the juice just ran out. The run ran out. We saw Edwards get worse and worse as the playoffs went on in terms of the standard he set for himself, especially in Series 1 against the Suns and in Games 1 to 4 against the Nuggets. But ever since that Game 7 performance, we have not seen the same Anthony Edwards.
So essentially what I want to say here is, so last time we did the pod, it was after 2-0, right?
Yeah.
So Edwards did come out for Game 3 to say like he's gonna be more aggressive, and he was, right? At the end of the day, Timberwolves did this to themselves. They were in games, right? Like they blew the 20-point lead in Game 2.
Yeah, that was big. So
a lot of stuff could have happened. It didn't fall for them as well. And we can say that about a lot of teams. We're gonna talk about the Indiana Pacers later. They were in that situation. My Lakers were in that situation. Other teams in general were in that situation, right? Like the Nuggets themselves in Game 7 were literally in that situation. So he comes out and he performs, right? Like he had the 24 shots in Game 3, 18 for Cat. But Cat, the Cat's going to be the main focus of this because we're going to talk about what's the offseason potential here. Cat going 0 for 8 from 3 in Game 3 was insane. Like that can't happen. You're a big man. And it obviously doesn't help when you have Rudy Gobert.
You're like, that can happen because you're a big man.
That can't happen in general because you are a good 3-point shooter.
You are a 3-point shooter. Not
You're
because
also a big man that's skilled that went first overall for a reason that you could do more than just shoot threes. You're not like what they called Kristaps.
You said 0 for 8 for 3.
He was 0 for 8 from 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said he was 0 for 8 from 3. That can happen because you're a big man.
I said that can't happen.
Yeah, because you're a big man.
Yeah.
That was your reasoning.
That was one of my reasonings.
How does that make any sense?
What do you mean?
You can't be 0 for 8 from a 3 because you're a big man.
Okay, I see what. Yeah, I see. Okay, well, a big man that could shoot threes.
Yeah.
That's number one. That can't happen. But number two is because, like, to your point earlier, he settles way too much.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that is because you may have Rudy Gobert on the court, and a lot of that is probably you're the one to take the last second shot, right? The defense was Dallas, again, to your point, credit when you said at the beginning of the, even during the middle of the series and the beginning of the series preview that like their defense was insane. The defense leveled up a little bit, right? So that's where I'm looking at least, yeah, what Anthony, they listened. So a lot of the stuff, I don't know if the Timberwolves watched their pod or something. They listened because they started blitzing.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
And they started, Anthony Edwards was a lot more aggressive. Like I said, he had a pretty good game 3 for him, considering how much he was struggling. Cat, on the other hand, like, he needed to get going because Jaden McDaniels wasn't like, he was 6 for 8, but he isn't your guy to get going offensively, right? And the blitzing side, Dallas was smart to figure it out because, like, if you're going to blitz Kyrie Irving, he'll just run around you, right? And then if you're going to blitz Luka, it worked in game 4 a little bit, like, because you saw there were tough possessions for the Mavs in general there, but then it was different, like, situation, right? But game 4 is, like, obviously their best game, the only game they won, which is still scary because it was a 5-point win, which is why I didn't say it. Which is why I thought that we're not going to come back from 3-0, just because, like, Kyrie and Luka had a bad game. But that game, Cat flipped the script and went 4 for 5 from 3. He was 25 points. Edwards was 29 points, 1 assist away from a triple-double. 9 for 13. Like, he was much more efficient. Like, this is the type of thing you wanted to see in the shot area. 25 by your first option in Anthony Edwards. Karl-Anthony Towns at 13. But he was efficient 13, right? But then if you go to game 5, and listen, other players for the Minnesota Timberwolves have stepped up. Like, Kyle Anderson had a really good series, in my opinion.
He did actually.
Like, he did. But then, like, Karl-Anthony Towns had a really good game 5, 9 for 20, 1 for 6 from 3 was the struggling part. But again, Edwards went down. He was efficient, but he had 18 points, right? 28 points, both of them at 28. But his shot, he needs to be the more aggressive guy, right? And that's where I wonder now, they're up on it at the cap. What do they do? How could they get better? And the question is, do you trade Karl-Anthony Towns? Because no one's going to get Rudy Gobert. And you traded 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right?
5 first.
And like, Rudy Gobert is, again, he's a regular season player. He's proven that. Like, he's a regular season defensive player as well. It's not even just in the playoffs. So what do you do with Karl-Anthony Towns? You have to figure out your cap situation. I think they already paid Anthony Edwards, or it'll kick in eventually. You're not gonna get rid of Rudy Gobert unless you're giving up 5 first-round picks, probably, or at the minimum 2 or 3 sweeteners. Mike Conley's back, which is fair. They need that. You have Jaden McDaniels still. What type of player? You just need another scorer, a wing scorer, I would say now, because you have Rudy Gobert, because you have Naz Reid already to pair with Anthony Edwards, in my opinion, like a Paul George or someone like that stature, in that type of player mold, in my opinion. Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm going to pose this, is that Brandon Ingram. Because Karl-Anthony Towns will fit perfectly with New Orleans Pelicans.
So you were saying Karl-Anthony Towns for Brandon Ingram?
Essentially.
Like a trade, just...
I put a lot out there for you. 1, do you trade Karl-Anthony Towns? A, for cap reasons. B, where would you trade him to? I just put out there 2 things in one. Yes, you probably need to trade him away, because I don't think the double big man thing is going to work, especially in the future. And B, I put out the Pelicans because that's the one team in my head that will benefit Zion having a stretch big like that. And he won't be clogging up the paint as much.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I almost want to run it back.
Answer that.
I really almost want to run it back.
Why?
Because they actually are. This is the first time any of these players have been here.
True.
Right.
But the cap is also going to look at too.
I know the cap is up there, but like, realistically, this is the best postseason Karl-Anthony Towns has ever had.
Fair. 100%. Yeah.
right?
He had his moments where he was
And-
Carl Anthony Towns in the playoffs.
Yeah, he had his moments, and definitely had in this series. But like realistically, he knows he's a number 2 option, right? But your number 1 option hasn't gotten going either. So technically, finger pointing, you can point it on Karl Anthony Towns right now.
I'm not like, it's not necessarily finger pointing. It's just like, how do you make this team better when you can't? Like the perfect dream situation is get rid of Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
That's the dream situation.
That's the dream situation. Yeah,
I still think you need Rudy Gobert for the regular season because he proved it. Why? That they were a number 2 seed is because of Rudy Gobert was a big factor of it.
I think you run it back at least one more year.
Okay.
Because one, they have this experience to learn from it. That's number 1. Number 2, none of these guys have ever been here. It's a different story if Cat.
Let me see the contract
Been here.
again.
Like the Cat's never been here before, right? It's not Cat's fault they lost.
No.
Right? Anthony Edwards deserves as much blame as why they lost this series. Obviously, Rudy Gobert is another big reason why they none of those 3 guys showed up. Essentially, when it mattered most. And it's because they're not experienced. They haven't been here. Their bodies haven't gotten used to it before. So I think they're a young squad. They could run it back. I think they have the luxury to run it back. But overall, I don't think you're in a rush to move on from Karl Anthony Towns.
So he's 29 this year. He will be 30 next. No, he'll be 2024, 2025. He'll be 29 next season.
Yeah.
Making $49 million that year. Then it'll jump up to 53. Then it will jump up to 57. Then he has a player option for 61 in the end of 2028. And then he's a UFA in 20.
Yeah. So you're not in a rush to move him.
Yeah.
So you're just not in a rush to move him.
Let me see if Edwards signed his contract then, because
there's no way. Like Edwards is fine. Even if he signed or doesn't sign, Edwards is staying as a Timber.
Well, no, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm not trading. I'm just saying I'm looking at the cap situation, because remember NBA changed the cap. Like they're already in the second apron or something like that. So if they want to get better, I think in a certain degree, yeah. So his contract kicks in next year. Yeah, his contract kicks in next year.
Yeah.
On top, so he's making 42 himself next year. So there's a jump right there. So if they need to make a move for cap reasons, it's got to be Karl Anthony Towns. I guess that's the question I have now.
Probably.
Like
I would run him back. I'm just saying that's fine. Right? I'm not taking cap into consideration. I'm taking what I saw.
Kyle Anderson's a free agent.
Right.
He was a pretty big factor for them.
Yeah, no, but I don't think getting rid of Kyle Anthony Towns and bringing back Kyle Anderson is going to be the right move anyways.
But sometimes the small moves happen like that.
Sometimes. That's the emphasis on that.
Okay, let's just assume they are going to move him for cap reasons. Let's just say that's what they're doing, right? So your answer is
No.
No. Okay. But let's just assume that's a real possibility that they have to make a move, and that's what they decide to do with Karl Anthony Towns. Is the Pelicans the only spot in the NBA where you think he'll fit? And will they be centered around Brandon Ingram, because there's rumors about a Brandon Ingram trade? Because Boston filled the role. I don't think.
I mean, Pelicans already have like a bunch of centers as well.
Who?
They have their Valanciunas and Nance
Valanciunas is
rotation.
a free agent,
Yes?
and he's not coming back.
Oh,
That's why
I don't know.
That's why
I didn't know he was rich. Oh, yeah, then it makes sense.
he's a free agent, and
Then it makes
they're saying that they're not bringing him back.
Yeah, so if you're going to add a shooting big around Zion, hopefully he can stay healthy. It's a fair.
And Zion's athletic, unlike Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're gonna.
Zion's better than Rudy.
And you're not really gonna be clogging the paint.
Yeah, it fits there. I agree with that. I agree with the fit. But how much does Brandon Ingram fit with the Timberwolves? I'm questioning that.
Okay, Okay, well, I guess we could say a 3-team trade, right? And let's say the Timberwolves. So I'm gonna pose this now.
I pose it, yeah. Because,
Okay. So that's one option I gave you, but a 3-team trade are centered around these players. Pelicans get Karl Anthony Towns. Timberwolves get Darius Garland. Sorry,
Darius Garland.
no, not
How
Garland.
they get
It
Darius?
makes no sense. I mean, Pelicans will get Darius Garland, but then Brandon Ingram still be a Timberwolf. Is what I was gonna say, but that makes no sense then.
Yeah, I mean, Ingram. I don't know.
Because I'm looking at the Knicks don't need it. Celtics have Porzingis. Bucks have Brook Lopez.
Yeah, we'll keep on the Pelicans. It's fine. If I'm the Pelicans, I would get Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah,
But if I'm the Timberwolves, do I really want Brandon Ingram?
he might
Do I?
he might fit with, like, he could play the power forward himself or small forward because you have Jaden McDaniels. He's still Brandon Ingram's still a very underrated player in the league, in my opinion.
He's good.
Yes, he had his injury concerns as well.
He's good.
but-
He's more. Yeah, injury concerns is similar. It's not an upgrade. I'll say that right now. It's not an upgrade.
But will he?
Does he do
cost the same?
Does he do anything in the playoffs? Did he really do anything in the playoffs?
I think he had.
He got absolutely shut down by Lou Dort.
Yeah, but they also did not have Zion for the last that whole series.
Yeah, I know.
So that's you have Anthony Edwards in this.
Yeah, still, but like,
it's a factor.
You're saying playoff performer. He has as much.
Well, he's balled in the past in the playoffs.
He has as much. He hasn't done as much in the playoffs as Karl Anthony Towns has done.
But point is, the double big man might not work. You bring in a guy like Brandon Ingram.
So you can go away from the identity that Chris Finch built with the double big man, just like that, just because of.
But
just coming off their best season ever.
No, but
legit never.
My question isn't that. Like I agree that like they might keep that, and you said that. My thing is if they have to trade Karl Anthony Towns, is a guy like Brandon Ingram. I think that's a decent enough fit. If you're
wording it like that,
we're talking now about we're trading Karl Anthony Towns no matter what. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
And then Brandon Ingram's on a sign and trade situation. He will probably need max, but I don't think he's gonna make Karl Anthony Towns money because it's not like the loyalty money type thing.
Yeah.
Above the super max.
And I still don't think Ingram works. I just don't.
But like Towns was still like a spot up shooter half the time.
That's
Ingram at least could like. Ingram has a bag. Like he has a bag on him.
He does have a bag. When
we've seen Ingram play. Like there's a reason why Kevin Durant says that Ingram reminds him of him a lot. He's not Kevin Durant. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like the offensive ability, and he could play some defense because he's lanky and he's lengthy and everything. Right? Because there's no other team that will fit Karl Anthony Towns unless you want to say
Pelicans.
Memphis,
100%.
maybe
Memphis
and Miami. Well, I don't think it's gonna work with Jimmy Butler.
No, it's not working.
And that culture.
I don't know, Ingram, I guess. No, I don't see it, bro. I just don't see it. I just don't know how it's gonna work still, because I know I might be wrong if it ever does happen. But I think Ingram and Edwards are too similar in terms of offense.
Another team for Karl Anthony Towns.
In terms of like Ingram and Edwards are gonna be attacking the mid range shot more so than that's their bread and butter. They wanna hit that mid range.
Anthony Edwards.
So they'll be both attacking the same space, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Okay. How about this team? Golden State Warriors.
To use Karl Anthony Towns?
Or even Brandon Ingram, but we're not going to talk about the Pelicans now.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns.
I mean, yeah, Warriors really were shambles.
But it didn't work with James Wiseman in general.
Well, isn't Wiseman different? Like, does Wiseman really shoot threes like that?
But no, again, it depends on how you... Like, they had success with Kevon Looney, Zaza Pachulia, JaVale McGee, Andrew Bogut.
Yeah, but that's when...
But they don't...
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson are both hitting...
So they might not have Klay Thompson anymore.
Yes.
So in that sense...
Bro, like in this sense of three-point shooting, you could replace Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, Klay Thompson with Karl Anthony Towns. Right? I'm not saying Karl Anthony Towns is as a good three-point shooter as Klay Thompson was, but he will definitely fill in that three-point shooting role.
It depends on how they fill the rest of the roster, but that's a decent enough spot to go to as well.
Yeah, no, that's a fit too. But yeah, let's go back into...
So closing out the Timberwolves here.
So yeah, quickly.
So just to...
Overall, my thoughts are running back. Hypotheticals or no hypotheticals, I don't care. Cap, no cap, try your best to run it back, in my opinion.
So your thing is one more year. And
one more year, yeah, because like they've never been here before. This is their second time ever being in this conference finals.
How long
they're probably the best year they ever had in their franchise history, almost. Or second best, depending on how far they went in 2004. And it's not Karl Anthony Towns' fault they lost it.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I only pose that thing is because they're under the cap right now.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like,
not under the cap.
That's the guy we're pointing at right now. Where you were pointing at.
Because you're gonna have 2 more years of Rudy Gobert. There's no way he's declining a $46 million player option next year, like in 2025.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Little Rudy Gobert hasn't even been this far, if you think about it.
Yeah, I think the 1 year they made the conference final,
and their most experienced guy has only made it here once, which is Mike Conley.
Yeah, because which was the Memphis.
They just haven't been here before. Like realistically, that's like they're just not experienced enough.
We'll definitely look at the cap situation and revisit this in the offseason if that's a thing.
But I'm just saying, overall, like first thoughts of it, like they shouldn't. They should run it back. Like they're a young squad still.
Okay. Anything else to add with the Timberwolves before we go to the Eastern Conference side?
No, that's all I got.
Okay, so before we go to the Eastern Conference, comment down below what you guys think about what they should do with Karl Anthony Towns, run it back, the Timberwolves in general. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we'll be dropping more videos this week as well, especially with the finals beginning for the NBA and NHL once the Oilers series wrap up. Check out our NHL preview as well, or past NHL videos. And this week by hitting the notification bell, so you'll be notified of the video as well. And yeah, just in general, just help support the channel. The road to 1,000 still is on board with us, and we appreciate you guys keep doing that. But yeah, let's get right into the Eastern Conference. 4-0 sweep. Bittersweet 4-0 sweep, though, because you could say the Pacers could have at least made it 2-2 in general.
At least, yeah. All right, let's start off with this. The Boston Celtics. I'm not going to... It might come out as a hated comment, like I'm being a hater, but it's true. It was a Mickey Mouse run to the finals. Let's start off with that. It simply is. Because, yes, I know you got to play who you got to play and all that stuff, but we're going to be fair. Well, I'm going to straight up say it's a Mickey Mouse run to the final, right? I'm not saying they don't deserve to be in the final. I'm not saying if everyone was healthy, they wouldn't make the finals. I would still pick them to make the finals. But realistically, they have not been tested at all. And that's not their fault.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, they had some like freaking black magic shit, because how the hell does you avoid Jimmy Butler, then you avoid Donovan Mitchell, and now you avoid Tyrese Haliburton.
And you avoid technically Giannis Antetokounmpo as well.
Yeah, Giannis.
If it wasn't for the Pacers series, in that sense.
If it wasn't him beating it in general, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, what I could have, should have, right? Like, at the end of the day, your team won a
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying no. You play who you play.
Yeah, Golden State won their title the first year without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in the final. You won.
That's 3 straight series for the Celtics.
Yeah, that's true. Like, right. You didn't have to deal with
At the end of the day, like, the Raptors in 2019 fought their, like, way to the finals.
Yeah.
And obviously, they got fortunate in the finals. I'll say that right now.
Yeah.
So did the Warriors in 2015. They got fortunate in the finals, but they fought their way to the finals at the end of the day.
And the Warriors also had the Chris Paul situation as well.
Oh, yeah, they did too.
Chris
So they got double lucky, yeah.
Yeah, but no, going back to this, yeah, I agree with you. They were not tested, so that's just why this could be. We're not going to preview the finals today, just a heads up. We're going to be doing that. It'll be coming out the day of the NBA finals beginning, so that morning, afternoon of the finals. But just to talk about the Celtics very quickly, that will be their first test unless something happens in that series that we won't know based on their history right now. It might, who knows? I hope not. Obviously, at the end of the day, you play who you play. They took advantage of it. That's all it was. And this is also I would understand if this team was if they were a wild card team, like a play-in team that had to fight their way in, or even a 6 seed. They handled business in the regular season. They were by far the best regular season team in the NBA. So, like, at the end of the day, a lot of people projected them to get here, maybe not the way they did. And maybe they would have played better and not be as complacent if they had to play like the healthier versions of those teams in general, right? So yeah, it is what it is. Like they got a pretty easy route to the final. I'm not gonna sit here and deny that, but you cannot take it away from them as well.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, no, I'm just reiterating to the people that, like, listen, I'm a Laker fan. You're a Raptor fan. We do not like the Celtics.
We don't.
So we're
like, preying on their downfall.
Yeah,
well, you are. We're going to come out and say we are preying on their downfall.
Yeah, like I want them to lose. But us being unbiased and us being just like keeping it real, they deserve to be in the finals in general because they had a really good regular season.
I mean, like I said, right? If even if the players were healthy, we would still pick them in the final.
Yeah.
It would still.
I would have had a debate with the Bucks if they had a healthy Bucks to face, but that's about it.
No, but I probably end the playoffs at least.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Giannis is out before.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, Celtics did handle the business. Jaylen Brown was absolutely incredible in his run, winning the Eastern Conference.
He won it by 1 vote.
MVP. BB Tatum by 1?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Tatum stepped up Tatum, especially in Game 3 and Game 4.
We're gonna have this debate next episode, so we're gonna tease that there. We're not gonna tell you about what. But with Tatum
stepped up in Games 3 and 4, in my opinion.
Unfair rep at times, even though, like, you know how in the first series, and even in someone Thunder series, the Luka gets, like, he got all those points, but the efficiency wasn't pretty bad and all that. Tatum had a similar vibe, or there were plays, there were moments where he looked bad, right?
But there's a difference.
But
there's a difference between him and Luka.
No, that's the hint of the debate we'll have in the future, in the next episode. But Yeah, I see why he still got like 5 to 4 votes. Like he got 4 votes, essentially. You get what I mean?
5 to 4 votes.
I think there was like 9 voters. Jaylen Brown got 5, and he got 4. Like,
I know Jaylen Brown deserved to win.
I might, if I had a vote, I was going Jaylen.
It was Jaylen Brown. It should have been Jaylen Brown. But I'm just saying this much. Tatum, at the end of the day, he did his job. We're not saying he didn't do his job, but we haven't seen another level of Tatum.
It's been a while, right? Like we've seen Tatum perform in the playoffs since his rookie year.
Yeah, but we haven't seen him perform in the conference finals and finals.
I would say the year against the Heat he did. The year that made it to the finals. He didn't perform in the finals, in the conference finals.
We haven't seen him perform late, what I'm trying to say. Right? That's more so early on where Tatum has performed. And obviously, there's a lot of evidence of that. Raptors, bubble round 2, the Nets sweeping in round 1 a few years ago. So Tatum, it just needs to pick it up in the more clutch moments. He has a second opportunity of doing that in the finals. But I personally thought he was fine in the Eastern Conference Finals. And overall, I think at the end, they have a squad. Like, just because they have that one of the best starting 5 lineups in the NBA, or the best starting 5 lineup in the NBA, with or without Porzingis, Tatum could afford to be inefficient.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think he only had like 2 games where he dropped under 20. But again, like Jason Tatum, it's more of he'll get his buckets.
He's fine.
Like he'll get his buckets, especially. I think people are more concerned because like he should have been a lot more. Like the Celtics should have put these teams away in every single game off the bat. So there was concerns of why were the Pacers even in a lead, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Which is fair,
especially without Halliburton in games 3 and 4.
Yeah, which is a fair argument. But going back into the Celtics very quickly, they just at the end of the day the better team won. Yes, it helps that injuries are a factor, but even then the better team won. Without Porzingis should be back for the final. There's a lot of storylines in this. Porzingis facing the Mavs, Kyrie facing the Celtics. Again, we'll talk about that next episode. The next NBA episode, to be exact, because the next one will be the NHL episode we'll drop. But, Jaylen Brown stepped up in this series, especially offensively and defensively. I think a little bit of motivation came when he was, I guess, you could consider him somewhat of a snub from All-NBA, which means he did not get his payday in the future as well. Against a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who did get it. And
he's already get like $60 billion.
Yeah, no, true. I guess for him, the money didn't matter. I guess the next contract, maybe. But at the end of the day, they handle business. But going back to the Pacers, young team is a factor. But so this is where I said at the beginning of this playoffs, or even in the playoffs in general, and even this series, where I'm like, the number 1 pace might hurt you. And it did, right? Like, clearly, they were relying on a lot of pace and space, like run the floor. And the half-court offense struggled, especially after when Tyrese went out. At least he's a young guy, so we don't know how he would have handled the business. But watching that game 4 was so frustrating. I understand Pascal Siakam does this before, but you still had a veteran guy, Pascal Siakam and TJ McConnell, just running up. Andrew Nembhard just shooting a 3 when there's like 20 seconds left on the shot clock, which he's young, I get it. Shout out Andrew Nembhard, though, amazing series when he stepped up with
he fell in.
Tyrese out, and I'm excited to watch him for Canada basketball. Most likely he should make the squad. But
the thing is this. Inexperience is one. I would just say the most of them go like Rick Carlisle for this.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that
100%, because at the end of the day, like when you think about it, once like watching the Raptors, obviously Siakam's always been in this pace and space thing. Siakam really hasn't been on a half-court centric offense before. It's all been
he has
transition based.
He's 19, but
but when he's the guy, right, it's transition.
Yeah,
just because 1 year,
which is why
for the last 5-6 years,
of
transition, it doesn't cut close, right? That's number 1. Number 2, TJ McConnell again, off the bench guy. Reason why they push the pace, they all fit the system. But this is where, as a coach, you got to get away from the system a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Will you score in those half-court offense? Maybe not. But when you're up like 5 and 6,
slow the game down.
Just slow the game down, right? The time's your friend, right? Celtics are facing the Pacers and the clock, whereas you just need to kill the clock.
I'm sure. Listen, you guys are all NBA players. There's just first of all, their plays out of timeouts are brutal. Like just to get the bucket, they're brutal. To get the go-ahead shot like in game 1. Before you went to overtime. Like, even that overtime play, like, why not call a timeout? You have a timeout when give away. Stuff like that was irritating. Like, Rick Carlisle is a veteran coach. It's not like he's like Mark Daignault or Jamal Mosley or whoever, like Darvin Ham even, and all these guys, right? So that's where it was a little frustrating to see. Even like you're a coach, set up a proper play, and which you haven't done. I get it, but they are NBA players and they're able to. Like at the end of the day, Pascal Siakam has had opportunities in the half court before, right? So for me, I understand he played like that, but there's no excuse, even if you're Pascal Siakam, but especially Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, no, the onus is definitely on Rick Carlisle here.
But
right, yeah, Siakam has no excuse, McConnell has no excuse because they are veterans. But everyone else is inexperienced. But when you're a coach, you gotta a lot of issues like have come like were seen by Rick Carlisle in terms of not fouling when you're up by 3, right, and allowing the team an opportunity.
Yeah, there's always a debate,
and there's been opportunities legit. It's not even a debate because like it happened to them all 3 series, right?
Yeah,
like they allowed them and they could have easily lost, but I think they should have done it, especially when you learned it from I think the Middleton winner, was it, in whatever game it was in round.
That game where
it happened then, it happened in the next one. The Knicks got lucky against the next one, and obviously it burned them against when Jaylen Brown tied the game in game 1.
Yeah,
that's one. Number 2, like you said, not using your timeouts effectively. That's on the coach. And number 3, yes, Siakam and McConnell should be doing better. I am gonna say that, but it comes from Rick Carlisle, right? You should be preaching that slow the game down.
Yeah.
The clock's in your favor.
It's just like,
why are you gonna give Celtics extra opportunities?
It's just crazy to me when like Andrew Nemhard is running up the court, or Aaron, it's just like just running up the court. Like
secure the ball and just like go up the court slowly.
Yeah,
don't need to run.
That's where I'm like, if it was Andrew Nemhard, and then I'm like, hold the ball, give it to Pascal Siakam. I still believe Pascal Siakam will be smart enough to just go up the floor like a normal person.
Like even if you miss, but you waste 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's more important than getting a point at that point.
That being said, like I said, we thought they were going to be a jump team. They did exactly what we thought. I think we said they were going to be like a 6 seed. At least I did. Top 6 in the playoffs. And they did that. And, without Halliburton, you pushed the best team in the league, right, essentially to the brink. And
brink in the sweet.
Okay, game brinks, I guess, to put it that way. You pushed their limits. They had to make comebacks for sure. And you'll just learn off of this, like you said about the Timberwolves. This team is even younger, right? At least that Timberwolves team had a little bit more veterans and more experience in the playoffs than this Pacers team did. So what they gonna do with the offseason? Well, number 1, it looks like Pascal's coming back on a max. You asked me this question about Pascal Siakam. Is this the best Pascal Siakam I've seen? And I said no. I still think maybe that Raptors, the year after Kawhi, may still have been the best at regular season of it, not the bubble.
But this was the playoffs.
Without what he did without Tyrese Halliburton in general, it's up there. I still can't confidently say this was the best. I feel like that run, and then the run they had when you guys went to the playoffs against the Sixers.
Yeah, no, but this one was, he went to the conference finals. He got results with this run. That's the difference.
Yeah.
This might have been, personally, I think this is the best Siakam we've seen. And I'm a Raptor fan.
Fair. I'll say that. Like when you thought that the next day I saw what Pascal did, I'm like, you might be onto something.
He stepped up when Halliburton was off. Obviously, the whole squad stepped up when Halliburton went out as well. But overall, I think this is the best I've seen Siakam in terms.
He was efficient as hell too. It wasn't, except for maybe 1 or 2 games in the next series. It looked
like in terms of like, what was I gonna say? In terms of when the games matter the most, he showed up. Right at the end of the day, when you're arguing the regular season, I did not see that.
Yeah,
it was regular season.
True. No, fair. I get your point with that. But what they need to do, so yeah, Pascal's clearly coming back, so you have your dynamic duo right now. Defense is still somewhat of a question mark. TJ McConnell, I think, is a free agent. I can't confirm. Again, that'll be more in the free agent talk of the episodes as well. But I still think they could go after OG Anunoby.
Well, I would.
Just go after OG Anunoby. There's a report that says that OG Anunoby is not locked for the Knicks. That could just all be false reporting or whatever. But it doesn't seem like it's like the for sure reporting that it's like when the Knicks got him. Now the Knicks probably will have to pay him because you got rid of us, Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett. But if I'm like, he spent time in Indiana, right? He went to IU, like Indiana University.
Yeah.
Right before he got drafted out of you guys from Great Britain in general. But so if I'm the Pacers, try to bring OG home in a sense because he technically was in Indiana before.
Yeah, that's true.
Or if not him, try to go out other like defenders. The question now is, what they're gonna do with Obi Toppin. Had a pretty good playoffs.
Yeah.
He's an RFA. I don't think you'll be able to bring him back because you drafted Jarris Walker for a reason. Unless you're using Jarris Walker for like a big time trade. Right? Now, in hindsight, I'm like, if I were the Raptors, I would have pushed for Jarris Walker if he wasn't going to play anyways. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Pascal trade. Because it looks like you guys are going to lose Bruce Brown anyways. Maybe it's so that's where I'm like, okay, maybe Obi Toppin's gone. Right? Which is unfortunate, but you're going to bring back Pascal. And if you're going to bring an OG or someone like OG in, great. Because you still have Jarris Walker. You picked him top 10 for a reason. I believe it was 7 or something like that in last year's draft. He's supposed to be a stud player, right? Everything I heard about him is supposed to be a stud player. I think he came from Houston University as well. So there's that option. So they're going to figure that out. But I think they just need to address defense and maybe get another veteran guy on the roster to help them like calm shit down.
No, I agree. They're in a spot where they could swing the bat, swing for the home run. Like the Thunder can swing for the home run.
I think the Thunder and the Knicks still have like more of the assets.
Yeah, they do. That's true. But they already kind of swung for the fences by getting Siakam or
Yeah.
if you think
Yeah.
look at it that way. But yeah, add some defense for sure and re-sign TJ McConnell. that's
If he's a free agent, again, I'm just talking out of my ass right now. I don't know 100% if he is. It feels like he's been there for so long that he might be a free agent.
Yeah.
So yeah, if not, just address the defense and just address a non-pace and space situation stuff.
Yeah. So that comes from coaching.
So
That just comes from coaching.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the Pacers talk. I don't have a deal. Do you have a deal?
No.
Pacers?
So like we said, the NBA
Celtics. Yeah, Celtics. We'll talk about more, and the Mavs
next episode.
next NBA episode.
It's gonna be a fun one, right? It's not easy as people think because people just assume the Celtics had I hated it when people were saying that was this a dominant Celtics run.
It's not.
It struggled a little bit at times as well. Like a dominant run is still that Warriors run. A dominant run is that Lakers 2001 run where they only had one loss, right? So yes, they handled business. 4-1, 4-1, 4-0 sounds dominant. Don't get me wrong, it does. But like when you actually physically watch it, it wasn't like full on like I stopped on their neck type moment.
Yeah.
Stuff, right? That's what I consider dominant, which was those Warriors teams. That Laker team that I was talking about, and so on and so forth. But before we closed it out, Mike Brown officially did get extended. He got 3 years, $30 million, so $10 million a year.
So that's
which is
good.
Which is what he wanted. I think before there were talks were canceled because I think it was like $7 million a year. Ty Lue officially extended as well. I think that one, I want to talk about this one a little bit more because I think it's 5 years, and I still think it's under what Monty Williams got, but it's 5 years. I'm gonna look at the contract quickly.
He's a highest paid.
$70 million.
Yeah, he's a highest paid coach.
We'll make him one of the highest paid. He's not
one of.
That's
that was the high.
yeah.
All right, so yeah, Ty Lue, I think
A lot of this is probably because the Lakers were involved, and
Yeah.
I don't think Ballmer wanted him going to the
it
Lakers.
was kind of like there was a market for him. So
Yeah.
price just drove up.
Suns already got Budenholzer,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Ty Lue, yeah. I have some question marks. Clippers haven't really done anything.
Yeah,
Obviously, is that Ty Lue's fault necessarily? No, 100%.
it's all the injuries in my opinion.
Like, I'm not saying I'm just gonna pose this question. I'm just gonna say it as like a hater type thing, but I don't 100% disagree with it. What has Tyronn Lue done without LeBron James to make him this valuable of a head coach?
Okay.
I'm not saying he's a good coach. He is a great coach.
He's
I'm never gonna say that.
No, I do disagree with that take only because like I understand results is what matters, but how much of it is on him? Because like we've seen Doc Rivers say like, well, I had this year he had Giannis injured, right? Last time he had like Embiid injured. The year before that he had Kawhi and them injured or whatever the case may be. It's the same argument for him, right? I think like Ty Lue compared to Doc Rivers, Ty Lue's in-game adjustments are insane. We saw Ty Lue, like, I just think, like, as a coach, like, he's definitely a guy that you can make adjustments with and all that and everything. Like, in-game adjustments were really, really good when he did them, right? When Kawhi went out the years they went to the conference finals, it's unfortunate they had to go against a pretty hot Suns team that year. I think that was the year.
Yeah.
Like, you saw him, like, him and Paul George, like, get them out. The Jazz out. Like, we all thought the Jazz were going to win that series.
Well, yeah, Jazz were 1 seed as well.
Exactly, right? So because of that, like I think Ty Lue's a good coach, and sometimes like
Yeah, I agree with that.
you can't get rid of a guy like that. I understand it's like I'm happy they did it, right? I think a lot of it is because of the Lakers scare was it there, and I was hoping for that to be the case because I wanted Ty Lue so bad. And even when we got Vogel before that, it was like we didn't meet his contract demands, or we wanted to pick a staff, which I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? Obviously, Vogel ended up being a good coach. And got scapegoated there. I think Ty Lue would have been a scapegoat if he were to get fired. If he wanted to leave, is a different story, right? I don't like. I get it, results oriented for sure, but at the end of the day, you can't keep getting rid of coaches.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I just got to bring up that perspective a little bit because he is one of the highest paid coaches now in the league.
We'll see what he does. Like, listen, and what has Spoelstra done recently, as well? Like, he got two NBA finals.
Yeah, no, but he's not more than Ty Lue.
In his career, yeah.
No, even recently. He's done more than
two NBA finals. I get that too.
Much worse squad.
The goal
is much worse squad.
True, 100%. But the goal is to win a championship at the end of the day.
I know the goal is, but that's one goal. I know.
Yeah.
In terms of like Spoelstra and Ty Lue, Spoelstra's been better.
Essentially, what I said about Spoelstra then is what I'm saying about Ty Lue now. And I agree with you. Ty Lue hasn't done much since Cleveland in terms of results, but we've seen his teams play amazing when we do. Right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
I think a lot of this is just because like he got like he's like, you want to get paid, great. I don't want you to be a Laker bomber, and like I said, Steve.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That is why
I just bring up this conversation and like.
So you're saying that he should be in the hot seat next year still?
Yeah, he should be in the hot seat. That's all I'm gonna say. That's
so. What will make him get him fired? Like how far does he need to go? Depending on
what's
happening with Paul George.
If your squad is healthy and you don't make the finals,
you're fired.
I would have serious question marks. If you don't make it past the second round, you're fired. If you make the conference finals, I would have question marks. If you don't make the finals with a healthy squad, I would, because many coaches have done much more with less than what Ty Lue has done.
Fair.
And Spoelstra as being one of them.
Yeah.
But I do. Ty Lue definitely has the injury excuse and is a very valid excuse. I agree with that. But I'm just saying there should be a lot more question marks with Ty Lue than there is.
So you're saying like I'm kind of overrating Ty Lue
a little bit, just a little bit.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. I get your point. When you have a squad like that,
I'm just saying there should be more question marks.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So we'll see. I think a lot of it is because the Lakers were out there available, and the Suns for a little bit were out there available before they got Budenholzer pretty quick. I don't know, like the Cavs, going back to the Cavs might have been a choice, but yeah, no, we'll see what happens, I guess. I get your point. I would give him 2 years still. That's just me.
Yeah, he deserves
it. Unless he misses the playoffs. Then
that's terrible. He's done.
Because I was gonna think what happened with that year they had Shea, but I don't think he was a coach when they had Shea. It was still Doc Rivers. But
yeah,
when they made the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
But okay.
So you're wearing yellow and black.
Oh, okay.
Yellow and black.
That's the Laker question, but we're saving that for.
Yeah, you're wearing yellow and black, and
well, I'm wearing gray.
Well, your partner's black.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of wearing yellow and black.
Yeah, I kind of am. But Borussia Dortmund, we're the better team in the Champions League final, but unfortunately lost 2-0 now the 15-time champs in Real Madrid, and what is known as the best club in the history of the world of soccer.
No debate about it.
And Real Madrid yet again has done it. We're just gonna quickly say this just because it was a good Champions League final, and we still. Yes, we might not talk much soccer and baseball. We'll still be at the big stuff here and there. Obviously, Euros and Copa America is coming. But UCL final is a final that every soccer fan at least looks forward to every single year.
So everybody thought it was going to be like a stomping, right? Like people were scared it was going to be a 2-0 first half off the bat, which is fair. Like everybody thought, similar to what happened with France-Croatia in the 2018 final, essentially, right? And it wasn't. They were by far the better team. Madrid showed flaws like they always did, but Madrid also, it was the classic Madrid, right? They step up in the 70th minute plus, essentially, right? It was until even the second half, it was Dortmund minus 1 or 2 chances.
Up until the goal, realistic.
Essentially, yeah. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. I was rooting for Dortmund, even though there was a slight Man United bias because of Jadon Sancho's on that team, and we had that drama on the side. But yeah, it was like last year's final all over again, except the score being this time 2-0 instead of 1-0. Dortmund had players defensively step up, like Mats Hummels was amazing.
Lauterback.
He was insane.
Lauterback.
I think they should have not subbed up Adeyemi.
That ruined it.
That
really ruined it.
Like I said that instantly. I'm like, why are they subbing this guy out?
Yeah.
And
Look, you should sub out Sancho instead.
yeah,
If you're gonna sub off, if you're gonna bring on Royce, which is fair, yeah, you respect Royce. You're just like, okay,
yeah,
we win.
But at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. Like, Madrid's Madrid. They were gonna do Madrid things, and they not officially announced, but Fabrizio Romano did a here we go Madrid getting Mbappe
As well. So they're only gonna get better.
So they're only gonna get better, and
that means Jude doesn't have to play striker anymore. He could actually go back to midfield.
Yeah, like a cam role. Cruz's last game got a game-winning assist off the corner kick, essentially. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is, at the end of the day, the story was it's Madrid's league and we're living in it. It's Madrid's world and we're living in it, and that's all it was. It just sucks that like they didn't have the striking ability. Even if they were up 1-2-0, I still would have thought Madrid would have came back and won some way or another.
They just find a way.
Just find a way, and in this case, they found a way.
And easier. In our lifetime, we have never witnessed Real Madrid lose in a Champions League final.
The last time, and which is why he's still the GOAT, was Sir Alex Ferguson back in '86. I want to say.
It was '83.
Somewhere around.
Yeah.
When he coached Aberdeen, maybe '86 is when he joined United, but like around there. When Aberdeen, out of all teams that he managed, beat Real Madrid, and ever since then, yeah, they've been on a tear. Question for you is this. We're still going to be, whether you agree or not, we're still going to say Ferguson's the GOAT. Is Carlo second? Right? Because everybody thinks Pep's the GOAT. But is it Carlo Ancelotti? Which, by the way, still surprises me the hell that, like, when you look at his managerial history, he coached Everton at one point with all these big...
I feel like with what hinders Carlo a little bit is like him moving around a lot more. Whereas where Pep went, Pep dominated.
Except for Pep didn't win the Champions League in Bayern, and he finally got one with City, though.
Yeah, I know, that's fair. But like, I feel like Champions League hinders Pep, and Carlo just being moved around. There was a point in time where Carlo was like washed, which was the Everton time, realistically. But or like the moments before Everton, because they're pretty decent with Everton.
Yeah,
and that's why you got the Real Madrid job.
Yeah,
right. But I feel like whereas Pep has shown his dominance, at least league-wise, dominating the league wherever he has been. But Carlo Ancelotti and what he's done with Real Madrid has just been absolutely incredible. Yes, you know, he has a lot of money to spend too, but so does Pep. So there's both cases. But 2 and 3, Pep and Carlo, I think, put it either or. I'm fine with it right
Some people have Jose over Pep too, but I don't. But
I'll still give Pep. I don't know. I actually genuinely don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a debate, but yeah. But next year, the new Champions League is gonna.
Oh, yes, new format. Yeah.
Europa League formats. I don't think the Champions League teams drop to Europa League and Europa to Conference League. I believe when I was looking at the Man United thing, for next year as well. Transfer windows are now open. Again, we're not gonna be as heavy soccer as we were in the past, but we'll talk about some big stuff that happens. Obviously, we'll touch base on the Euros and the Copa America because Canada is involved in the Copa as well, and just to see how it goes in between our NHL, NBA stuff and even NFL stuff when it starts. But yeah, we'll end it here. As always, make sure you guys like the video, comment, and subscribe. Hit the post notification bell because we'll be dropping a lot of stuff this week. NHL video, NHL, NBA previews, as well as a special hockey video that we'll be dropping. We'll be starting to clip some TikTok shorts and stuff as well, so make sure that noti bell is on. Audio listeners, as always, I looked at the analytics recently, and it definitely went up a lot than I thought it was going to be, so make sure you guys first of all, thank you for downloading, and make sure you guys rate and review the podcast on whatever audio platform you guys use as well. Follow our socials, link down below for any updates and any of the TikToks and stuff we're going to post on Instagram Reels as well. And Road to 1000 continues, and we appreciate you for that, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.